Hey guys, welcome back to Two Girls, One Crime, episode 12. Woohoo! I am one of your hosts, Megan, along with my other fantastic confidant, yeah,
Oh my gosh,
Emily.
thank you. Thank you. What an intro. I love
Of
it.
course, need to give credit where it's deserved. Um,
Anything.
Today we're going to be talking about another Netflix documentary that just recently in the last couple weeks have come out, and it's called Maternal Instincts. If you have not seen it, very much recommend.
Hmm.
It is crazy, but the main culprit, suspect, killer we're going to be talking about today is Taylor Parker. If you've ever heard of her, feel free to let us know. But yeah, this one is absolutely insane, and there's
Hmm.
still kind of a lot of unknowns around it, but we're gonna talk about it anyways.
We are, yeah. Which we love to do that anyways and give our little thoughts on it. But we both
Yes.
watched this documentary. Definitely recommend. We were saying before we started recording, like there are some things we wish we knew more from the documentary, but
Hmm.
we still really enjoyed this story. So we're like usual. We're gonna get into a little background on Taylor Parker herself. Um, So this case happened in 2020, but the documentary, like Megan said, just recently came out on Netflix. Um, Taylor Parker basically faked her pregnancy, abducted an unborn baby, and murdered the mother of the baby. Well,
It's like
abducted the baby.
crazy.
Yeah. Um, so we'll get into all of that, but this is a little background on her and kind of where she came from. So, December 9th of 1992, she was born in Titus County, Texas. Very little is kind of known about her early years besides that she has a brother and that her parents got divorced when she was younger. Um, we really don't know a lot. There wasn't a lot about
Hmm.
her upbringing. Um, so this story for her kind of starts for us also when this crime happens in 2020. So she moved to like East Texas from where she was from into like a very rural community. She was said to like have a big impression on everybody who she knew around her and those around her. She was said to come from like a wealthy family. She was hoping one day that she would be the one who inherited the money, but I guess had some like feud or argument with her mom, and her mom was basically the one standing between her and the money. So she obviously was not very happy about that.
Hmm.
Um, in 2019 in April, Taylor met this man named Wade Griffin, who was a hog trapper, which I'd never heard of that before. They met at like a local rodeo, and about 3 months after they met, they actually moved in together.
A typical rural Texas romance.
Exactly. Met at a rodeo. That's also why I don't know what a hog trapper, or I didn't know what a hog trapper was. I'm not from a rural Texas community, but
Mm-mm.
met at a rodeo, moved in together about 3 months later. She actually had two kids from her previous relationship, which I had no idea about. They like didn't really live with her. She had like partial custody of her daughter, but not of her son. There was like a whole thing where they really didn't spend a lot of time living together. Um,
Hmm.
so then a bit later after Taylor and what was his name? Wade.
Wade,
They
yeah.
both have like first and last names that could be first or last names, so
Hmm.
it's very confusing to me. So Taylor and Wade, a little bit after they moved in together, thought that she was pregnant, and this is what she said. She said to him that she thought she was pregnant. Um, and Wade talked about how this was like out of his comfort zone. He was a very like moved slow with his relationship, so the fact that like they moved in together and she thought she was pregnant, that was like out of his comfort zone. So we don't really know a lot about this besides obviously their relationship, how it started. Megan's going to get into a lot of what the documentary is about, why we know who she is. Um, so take it away.
Yeah, so I mean, like, right. Emily talked about how this couple was very rural, like, girl
Yeah.
from East Texas, just living her life. So
Mm-hmm.
keep that in mind as we kind of go into different sections, because there's like two things in particular that were like
Mm-hmm.
nobody expected this until things started to get kind of sketchy. So starting
Mhm.
with like the fortune. So like Emily said, there was a whole backstory really, and the only thing we really know about the family was mom was in according to Taylor not a good parent, someone who
Mhm.
was just always manipulating all these things, and a big part of this whole family web in some ways was this fortune that Taylor claimed she was going to inherit. She said she was an heir to the
Mhm.
Blackburn syrup fortune from
Mhm.
her grandmother. So, a lot throughout this relationship, and I believe their relationship, so Griffin and Parker's relationship was only like a year and a half. Like, it wasn't this 10-year relationship. Um,
Right.
a lot of it was surrounding this money. So in
Mhm.
December of 2019, so this is 5 months into their relationship, she claimed that she was
Mhm.
going to inherit millions of dollars from her grandmother, who was a part of the syrup fortune.
Mhm.
She talked about how they were going to get all this money and they could do some things that Wade, her partner, wanted to do. So there was this ranch in, I believe it was Oklahoma, that was $4.7 million that she was working with the real estate company to buy. Um,
Mhm.
she purchased $100,000 truck for Wade, and then they also bought his mother a car, which later was repossessed, and will talk about why. But that was a huge
Mhm.
part of this, and a lot of things that were kind of interesting with her was she had never really worked any job in her life. She only worked at a OBGYN that was reported. And she said a big reason why is because her family was so wealthy. Um,
Mhm.
so that was all going down, and a lot of people were kind of like, oh, that's a lot of money, that's a lot of stuff. They were kind of falling into this fancy lifestyle, right? The $4.7 million ranch, they could not provide funds, and she claimed at the time it was because her mother blocked the ability for her to get into this inheritance of some kind. Um,
Mhm.
the car that they got, Griffin's mother, was repossessed. But at the time, she said that there was a recall on all the vehicles that were under that specific type, and that's why the car went away. But the mom later found out they weren't paying the bill to keep the car, so that's why it was repossessed. The
Mhm.
$100,000 truck, I believe, was also repossessed, but I'm not 100% sure. There was more so just
I think it
direct.
was.
Yeah, because they can't afford anything. But all of this was kind of like my mom is crazy. She's blocking all disability um, to figure out what the deal is.
Yeah.
And we'll do the very truth at the end, but very reasonable. Your family's crazy. You don't have stuff like that. And also, why would you go through all that trouble of trying to buy all these things? Lie, right? So that's number one.
Yeah.
The main the main crime was Miss Baby. So like Emily said, a couple months into their relationship, Taylor claimed that she was pregnant. She just
Mhm.
had this realization. She's like, I think I'm pregnant. I don't know why I think I'm pregnant. So in January of 2020, she claimed that the baby was coming. And something that was very interesting that I wanted to highlight, and Em touched on this earlier, that the custody of her children was kind of odd, where she had custody of one but not the other. She apparently did ask her ex-husband at the time when she said that there was a baby, um, to take
There was
custody.
baby.
Yeah, when she claimed there was a baby. She asked her ex-husband to take custody of their daughter,
Mhm.
because she thought Griffin would end the relationship. And a lot of people think that this is why these schemes were created, because he got to a point where he was like, I don't really like you that much. Like, the only reason I'm here is because we are expecting a child together, but we don't know that yet. So
And
wanted
at
to
this
add.
point, they'd only been dating like literally like 7 months or
Yeah,
something
they
like that.
haven't been dating that long, and they've
Yeah.
moved in together. They're buying these
Mhm.
things, this housing stuff, like all of that was going down at the time. And
Mhm.
it was like, well, this isn't going well, but we're having a child together. So he was doing the right things.
Yeah.
Um, March of 2020, so like 3 months or 2-ish months later, They had a gender reveal party. They had a gender reveal party with a rodeo, and they claimed they were expecting a baby girl. Um, October of 2020. So at this point, we're through the entire pregnancy. It's about 1 month past the due date. Keep in mind at this point, this is a very slimmed version, but they're still buying stuff like, woohoo, we're having a kid, all these things. Um, and everyone in the family is starting to get kind of skeptical because they're like, well, we're not really seeing
Where's the
something.
baby?
Where's the baby? And also, we're 10 months. There's not many pregnancies. I don't think there's really ever any that go past 10 months. That's like
Right.
bizarre. And she also did not look pregnant, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Oh my God, this is insane. So she was supposed to have the baby in September.
Yeah.
Uh, Her boyfriend became super suspicious and said, we're 1 month past the due date. Where's the kid? And Taylor said she was going to be induced at the hospital on October 5th, and she was, quote, going to bring a baby home. And then on October 9th of 2020, well, shortly before that, on October 5th, she was like, we can't go into the hospital today because they received a bomb threat, and it was all over the news. We'll get to that, but that's odd, right? We're not going to go have our baby where there's a bomb threat.
Weird timing.
Weird timing, but we can't do that.
Mm,
So,
yeah.
October 9th, and this is the day where unfortunately it took a turn. She
Hmm.
had a friend named Reagan Simmons Hancock who she had met in 2019 while doing wedding photos of her and
Hmm.
her then husband. Um, she went to her house and she stabbed her 15 times and had 98 wounds that were across her body. She then, after she had fallen to the floor, and she, I believe, was still alive at the time, did a C-section, removing Hancock's unborn daughter from her womb. And at the time, keep in mind that she also knew she was having a baby girl. They were bonding about how they were both going to have baby girls, their pregnancy, all those things.
Yeah.
She then took Hancock's placenta and put it down her pants to create the impression she had just given birth. She that day was then pulled over for reckless driving. She had the baby girl in her lap and she claimed she had just given birth. Her baby wasn't breathing. She was trying to get it to the hospital. Her baby was pronounced dead at the hospital. Reagan's mom found her in her house a couple hours later. And that is where this all starts to kind of unravel in terms of like
Hmm.
the truth.
And we see, like, the documentary really shows, obviously, it, like, starts out by,
Mm-hmm.
from the, like, police camera footage of, like, them being, like, pulling out behind her and, like, following her like she's about to get pulled over. Then he, like, gets a call and they're like, yeah, she's having a baby. She just called 911 to, like, whatever. And he's like, did you just have a baby? Like, the baby's just, like, in her lap. She's, like, freaking out. It's, like, it's very, like, eerie because, like, obviously we know that it's not her baby, but like they obviously don't know that. So like she's kind of doing a good job like acting like it is her child,
Yeah.
but
Well, and it's
it's
like,
very freaky.
yeah, and it's like at this point, a lot of people are like his whole family was like, she's not pregnant, she's not pregnant. And you'll see a little bit
Right.
why, but they're getting to a point where they talked about this in the documentary. Him specifically, he was like, we hadn't been intimate with one another for 5 months. Like, she wouldn't let me see her naked. She wouldn't let me touch her stomach at all. Like, there were a lot of things that were kind of odd. So he also got to a point where it was
And she was
like,
pregnant for over 10 months.
yeah, that's just not a thing. It's not a thing. And also, they would induce you much before past the 10 months. So
Right,
that's when
right.
we kind of get to the truth, and we can start by kind of going back to the fortune. Um,
Hmm.
so, right, quick recap: inheriting a bunch of money, was supposed to buy all these expensive things, a house, cars, all these things.
Yeah.
After she was arrested, it was later found out that she would call real estate companies under 30 fake names to illegally purchase more than $20 million in real estate over that 14-month period that she was with Wade. She would call using like voice modulation. She would sign things that were of these fake people that didn't even exist. It made no sense. And at the time, there was also no inheritance. Her family was never wealthy. There was no connection to this Blackburn syrup fortune. She had nothing. And a lot of people still are kind of unaware of like why. A lot of people just think she wanted to keep Wade in the relationship. That
Mm-hmm.
I think the 30 fake names is where it's like, oh my gosh, you're going through so much effort.
Yeah, it wasn't like a one-time thing. Like
No!
that, no,
30
no,
names, 30 names. Like you're signing things, you're claiming these people exist, and they don't even exist. And it's like
right.
you're getting away with it too.
Yeah, I feel like it, again, it would be, I mean, all of it's horrible. It would be different if it was like she did it one time. Not different legally, but like
Yeah,
different morally, I guess. But you're doing that like
multiple
literally 30
times.
different times.
Yeah, and it's like multiple people are like, "What's the deal here?" And she's not
Right.
able to like do it. She's just like, "Oh, like my mom got in the way," and she's like, "My mom's the one who's causing all these problems. My grandma's trying to help, but it's not working." And it was all a big fat lie. It never occurred.
Yeah.
Um, so then we get on to the actual pregnancy, the baby, and this is where like the truth kind of comes into play. So during that 10-month period of where she claimed she was pregnant, she actually wasn't pregnant. She also could not have,
Surprise.
surprise, yeah. She also could not have gotten pregnant. Um, she got a hysterectomy in 2015, and for those of you listening who might not know, it's pretty much where it makes a woman unable to have children.
Correct.
Um, you cannot reverse it. There's nothing you can do. You ultimately are done having kids. And she made this decision after having two children. There's even reports where, like, medical records of them being like, "You're 21 years old. Like, are you sure this is what you want?" And she's like, "Yep, this is what I want. I don't want any more kids." And that's what happened. So, no possible way she could have been pregnant. Then we move on to, well, how did all these people believe her for so long?
Right.
Well, she used fake bellies and pillows to look pregnant, where she would buy stuff on Amazon to give people the illusion she was pregnant. She used fake bellies that would simulate a baby kicking to have people feel her belly through the clothes, and then she'd be like, "Ooh, did you feel that?" Or videos of this kicking when there's nothing there.
Like
Um,
she really, really was trying her hardest here.
The only
Like
credit
she's
I give her,
dedicated to
yeah,
this.
that's what I'm saying. It's like, oh my gosh, for 10 months too, like almost a full year she's doing this.
Correct.
Um, like I said previously, she never let her boyfriend see her without clothing because she claimed she's insecure. She had all these stretch marks, and he was like, okay,
No,
cool.
she was just faking it.
She was faking it. She had a fake belly that she couldn't let him see. And then at the time as well, there a lot of people were like, well, these doctor's appointments, right? They're going to these appointments, and it was COVID-19. So she claimed that he couldn't go into the doctor with her because it was COVID-19. So he would just wait outside. And on top of that, the day she was supposed to be induced, she called in the bomb threat and said that someone was going to blow up the hospital. Um, when it was never a thing. Like she was just trying to stall more.
I don't like. Did she think she was gonna get away with this?
Well,
Like
there
for
was a
real?
lot. That's what I'm saying. There's so much of this where it's like, huh? And she also was so angry at people in Wade's family being like, she's not pregnant. Like, she's not
Right.
pregnant. We know she's not pregnant. Like, there's no possible way. And at this
Uh,
point, too, and we'll talk about this, but like, there were other people who knew that she couldn't get pregnant and that were telling Wade's family. And she would just be like, they don't believe me. Like, I'm gonna have a kid and prove them all wrong. And she was Googling stuff where it was like, how to have like a private, like, emergency adoption, like stuff where it's so odd. Like,
yeah.
oh,
And that she was the one who called in the bomb threat. Like
that's what I'm saying.
that's not
It's like,
that's not the way to. that's not just like, oh, I guess I'll just call this in because, I don't actually have a child. Like, that's a serious thing.
Yeah,
Oh, gosh.
yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot here that, was maybe not the smartest course of
Maybe,
action.
yeah, maybe not the wisest.
No.
But so Girly gets to
Oy.
the hospital, right? Doctors are like, it doesn't look like you had a kid down there.
No.
Like you're showing no signs of ever being pregnant, and then eventually that's when they started to connect the dots. Because this was also a small town where the person that she had killed, like, it got out very quickly that her baby was
Right.
stolen from her womb, and then they were putting the dots together. So
Yeah.
she was
Which we
arrested.
actually saw in the documentary or the
Yeah,
thing on Netflix. Like, it is pretty cool actually that like we can see that police footage because we can see they're in the hospital and they're like, "Did you just have a baby?" She's like, "Yeah."
yeah,
She's literally like, "Yeah, like that's a stupid question. Of course I had a baby." But they're like,
yeah.
"All
And
right,
she
we'll bring the
doesn't,
doctor in because they can tell."
yeah,
Then the
literally the
doctor, of
doc.
course, is like, "She didn't just have a baby. No baby
No,
just came out of her."
no.
Like,
And it's
what?
like they were so just like, nope, like you're caught. There's something that you did. Whose child is this? Like, whose baby? And it made it so much worse because the baby was alive and then it died. It was pronounced dead at the hospital. So it was like, okay, you killed someone's baby, you killed a wife and a mom, like all these things. So everyone was like, no, no, no. Like, you didn't have this kid. We know it's not your child. Like, what's the deal? So she never truly like confessed as far as I'm aware. She kind of was like skated around a little bit. I like that I'm
Mm-hmm.
yawning right now. Um, Here we are. But then we go into the trial.
Yes. All right, moving on to the trial. Um, Two sides of a trial, obviously, prosecutors, defense side. So the prosecutors, they believed obviously that and they argued this, that her crime was premeditated, had been plotted for 10 months probably, multiple months
Mm.
at least, while the defense was kind of saying, like, we want to keep her off death row. Like a neurologist said that something was very wrong with her brain. Also, there's this whole thing with the frontal lobe syndrome where it kind of describes, like, wait, do you want to say that part? Because that seems psychology.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so with the something with the something that's very wrong with her brain. We're giggling because we just had a little bit of a spastic
We just
moment,
had a
but we're good.
moment.
We're good. But yeah, with the neurologist saying that something was very wrong with her brain, they
Mm-hmm.
identified it as her possibly having frontal lobe syndrome, which I've never heard of
Mm-hmm.
before, but it describes, and this is from a news article, but a complex web of cognitive, behavioral, and emotional motivational disturbances. So pretty much this idea of like you think about things a little bit differently, you have different ideas of like the ways you're going to do something, why you want to do it, all these things. And it's just not, I don't like to use the word normal, but it's kind of bizarre behavior where it's just not something that
Mm-hmm.
you would think a typical person would think.
Yeah, and that kind of, not explains it like well enough for her to be able to do this, but it kind of explains a lot of her
Yeah.
movements in this.
Yeah, and they were
Um,
trying to argue for sure, like, well, the reason she did this is because she's not right. Like, mentally, she's not okay. Kind of like the insanity plea, because they knew that they weren't going to be able to keep her out of prison, but they were like, well, in Texas there's the death penalty, and they were just trying to come up with any sort of piece that they could of, oh, this is why she also doesn't feel maybe remorse. This is why she just blindly went through this and it wasn't a problem.
yeah. So, moving on, October of 2022, she was convicted of capital murder, and a month later, she was sentenced to death. Um, they kind of argued that she couldn't be charged with capital murder because the baby wasn't alive. Um, I don't know if that's like complete. Anyways, I don't know the law that well. But also, she didn't really receive a like fair trial, I guess, because of all the media coverage and the social media
Hmm.
commentary, all of that. And especially now, like, since this has come out, it kind of, brings it all back and, like, for everyone to look back on, which I think it's always interesting when it, like, the case happens, like, with the Karen Reed one that we talked about last week, like, we watched it all happen, like, in real time, but now that, like, this is, like, coming out now, but it happened years ago, it's, like, interesting to, like, see
Yeah.
what's happening,
Well, in
you
this
know?
also, with all this stuff going on, like, because the community was so small, it was like, that's, I think, where a lot of this came from of, oh, well, there's such bad, like, media and all that, because the community was like, you killed this pregnant mom and child. Like, that's horrible, like, a small town
And you
feel.
abducted the child.
Yeah, and you stole the child and tried to pass it off as your own. Like, there's some things here where they were just like, nope, like, this isn't appropriate, this isn't good, like,
Yeah.
ooh, this isn't even excusable at this point.
Yeah. So, kind of crazy. Actually, really crazy, not even kind of crazy.
It's just
Um,
bizarre. You just sit there and
yeah.
you're like, and I still think about, even like with that diagnosis, I'm just like, where at that point, like, I get you want to keep your boyfriend, right? But like, why don't you adopt a child? Like, if you just want to do that, be
Yeah.
like, oh, let's adopt a kid together. Let's do this, let's do that. Like, why fake a pregnancy for 10 months and then, I don't
Murder.
know, murder?
Yeah. I feel like if she had to do all of that to keep him as a boyfriend, that's probably not her
It's not
person.
worth it. It's not worth it. I would be done if
No.
I literally had to do all. I also feel like it's just, were you not like, I'm tired of doing this? And also, you kept it to the point where everyone thought at one point she was gonna fake a miscarriage and she was gonna be like, oh, I miscarried. Like, that's what
Right.
happened. But she never did that.
That
She
would have been
kept
a
it
lot
going.
easier than all of this.
Yeah, she also probably would be kept out of prison. But
Right.
here we are.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. So that's kind of a brief overview. Again, we are we give enough information to kind of like spark your guys' interest, and then if you wanted to continue to look, of course you can. Um, and the same with us here. But
Hmm.
we have some frequently asked questions to talk about. We have a couple today, and a lot we already kind of talked about, but here's a little bit more information. The first one is, where is she now? Where is Parker? She's on death row, like we said. She is one of 7 women who are on death row in Texas. Um, she is still alive, and her like execution date has not been scheduled. Um, so she's been in there for like 6 years now.
Hmm.
Or no, I guess since 2022, right? Not 2020,
Yeah, so like 4 years.
but still a lot of years. So her date hasn't been scheduled, and she did try to appeal her case 2 times, and both times she was denied. Um,
Hmm.
so,
And this is also to clarify with the appeals. It was like she tried like the normal court and then she went up to the like Texas Supreme Court and
mhm,
she tried to, again, they tried to argue that she didn't get a fair trial, and both times they were like, no, you got a fair trial. Your charge is going to stick the way it is.
yeah,
And
yeah,
the main thing that they were trying to argue was the capital murder, because I believe that's what
mhm,
swayed it from whether or not it was the death penalty or not.
yeah. And that's why it was like they were saying, oh, it couldn't be this because the child was still alive, but like the child also like passed away. So
Yeah.
I don't know if that was like a gray or a line that was happening, but yeah,
Yeah.
she appealed those parts of the case at least and was denied both times. So she is still
Hmm.
there. Um, so yeah.
Yeah. Well, the next question kind of surrounds Wade Griffin. A lot of people asked if Wade Griffin ever got charged for anything,
Mm-hmm.
ever is he in prison because he's dating this woman, right?
Yeah.
Um, it he was never charged in connection with the murder, and he did actually testify at the trial that he
Mm-hmm.
did not know that her pregnancy was fake up until kind of
Mm-hmm.
the end of the pregnancy, where he was like, something just seems off here. On the other hand, and this is in the last like week or two, so Homer Hancock, who is the husband and father of Reagan Hancock's unborn child and
Hmm.
he in the last week has filed negligence and wrongful death suits against Wade Griffin and Taylor Parker on June 19th of 2026. So he's claiming with Wade in particular that he knew that Taylor had a history of lying. He knew that Taylor maybe wasn't the most stable and like let him use this car to like go kill his wife and child and was recklessly
Right.
driving with his child in the car. So there's a couple things where hopefully Homer Hancock can get some justice, especially from Wade. Because, like, I feel like with Wade Griffin, it is kind of odd because it is like he didn't do anything, he didn't know, but there were
Hmm.
so many people telling him, like, she's faking, like, she can't have kids, all these
Right.
things. And, like, you wonder if maybe he could have done something.
Yeah. I mean, even like with her not allowing him to like see her at all without clothes on or like touch the stomach or anything,
Yeah.
and like with all these people in his ears being like, she can't get pregnant, this isn't real. Like he didn't at all try to like, I don't know, check it out while like
Yeah.
she was sleeping or something. Like she had to have slept with the stomach on, like all of this stuff that's just like, I don't know. It
Like
seems
context clues a
like there
little
could
bit.
have been things along the way, but also again, we don't know, but it
Yeah, so
is it's an
I mean
interesting point.
I'm happy that he's doing that more so because I do think in some ways there's a little bit of that responsibility. But I also think we could argue that all the people who were friends with Taylor prior to her dating Griffin could have also said something,
Hmm.
and like that also led. So there's a lot of parts here where it's like, well, you can argue that it's helpful and hurtful, but yeah, that's what he's up to, and we'll probably see that play out in the next couple of years.
Yeah, which yeah, crazy. Um, so the next one is kind of like, what did Taylor Parker's ex-husband say?
Mhm.
Um, so he did take the stand at the trial. He did say that she got a hysterectomy while they were married. Um, he says that he reached out to Wade Griffin to let him know that it was a lie, but also like he clearly knew that she had lied like a bunch of times. Like he was very affected by her and the lies that she told him. Which I think that's a huge thing that he took the stand and like said all
Mhm.
of that stuff. Like it obviously they're not married anymore, but like I don't
Oh
know.
my God,
It's
I think it's great. And especially
right,
like thinking about, well, I think also something that's interesting is like she didn't have custody of one of her kids, but had custody of the other. Like, don't we find that odd as well, where it's
right.
like something's going on there that's not great?
Yeah, and I
Um,
think that that kind of shows the whole mental illness or
yeah,
something that's not like firing right in her brain, but
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So the final kind of thing, and I feel like the most controversial aspect of this whole thing was like the hospital records surrounding her hysterectomy. A lot of people have discussed that the hospital, because the hospital that she got this hysterectomy done knew that she couldn't get pregnant. They saw these
Mhm.
messages through Facebook of her claiming, like, I'm pregnant, all these things, and they could never say anything.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of people argued why they never did say anything, um, why they couldn't, and all these things, and there's records, all this stuff like that.
Yeah.
In now
Which
with
also
that,
shows that she clearly didn't actually go to a doctor. Like we knew that she didn't obviously, but like she clearly didn't because like
yet
if
she
you
like
go to a hospital
faked
they
all
see
these
your whole
things.
medical record.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, and it just
But that
is
just
like,
proves it even more,
yeah,
obviously.
and a big part of this too is like they never said anything because of HIPAA, which is like health protection, like medical facilities have to protect human health records, right? And they believed that what she was doing wasn't technically harmful to anybody or wasn't leading to harm, and more so was just like a messed up thing to do as a human being. So they couldn't tell the partner, they couldn't tell his family, and they just sat there knowing this woman cannot get pregnant even if she claims she is. Um,
Correct. And like
yeah,
they're not allowed to say anything about it, which is like huge. Like
yeah,
obviously it's good in some cases, but also like in a case like this, like I
Well,
obviously exceptions are like so hard anyways, but like
well, this is hard too
wow.
because it's like they probably could have reached out to the family and been like, "Hey, she's not pregnant," and maybe that could have like prevented the events that came after. But again, nobody thought that this woman would turn to killing two people in order
Exactly.
to like keep this bit going. Like
Right.
they never assumed that that would be the next step.
No. That's not like you said earlier, it's like probably it would have been assumed that she would have faked a miscarriage or something again, not like you just said, not murdering someone and two people technically with the child. So that definitely I think she took it farther than anyone obviously thought that she would take it anyways.
Yeah. So I think if they knew the information that like she was going to kill somebody, then they would have reported it to the police or
Right.
they would have told the family and been like, "Hey, she has had a hysterectomy, she can't get pregnant, she's gonna do something." But they couldn't have predicted what was gonna happen because usually, like let's be honest, everybody at some point in their life has lied and been like, "Oh, like I haven't been sick lately," and it's like they could have been to the doctor like a week prior, like little
Yeah.
things like that, and it's no harm, no foul. But then it's like this where it made no sense to everybody involved. Like, what are you gaining from this?
Exactly. And like literally what are you gaining from this? Yeah.
Truly, the only thing
Ugh.
she got was keeping her boyfriend, but it's like your boyfriend didn't really like you that much. Like, he kind of was over you by the end of the 10-month pregnancy.
Yeah, and like you're gonna do all this and then he's gonna see all this and then he's not gonna want to be with you. Like, I don't know.
Or let's say this kid was real, right? Like let's say she adopted a kid,
Yeah.
whatever the case may be. It's like that doesn't always hold families together. Like she got a divorce before. Like she knows.
Yeah. Yeah. With two kids. So,
Yeah, with two children.
gosh. Yeah, that this was a crazy story anyways, but the document like watching it on Netflix was even just like
Oh, it just
seeing the
is
real
like
clips and like the real everything was just it was so eerie.
yeah, and I feel like all the people who knew that she wasn't pregnant being like, oh my gosh, I don't know why I keep yawning. But like at the time saying like, "Oh, I knew, but like I don't know, like I wasn't gonna say anything." Like
Yeah.
that sort of thing is where it also is like eerie because you could have possibly prevented some of this stuff, or at least like
100% prevented.
yeah, like or at least done something. Like Wade is ultimately the one who would be the one to kind of like
Yeah.
break it off or not, but who knows?
Hmm.
If he confronted her earlier and was like, "We're done. I know you're not pregnant." She could have gone and killed somebody and done this again. Like we truly don't know.
It's hard to like predict that.
Yeah.
Ugh,
There's no
yeah.
way
No,
to predict it.
exactly. Yeah. No, it's very wild. Ugh. Yeah, and
Well,
like seeing all the clips and everything is like it's
it just is
crazy.
odd. It just the hospital, her being like, "Yeah, I just had this child." It's like, "No, you didn't." Like,
Yeah, and she's like adamant about it. And the police, the guy who's like sitting there, he's like, you know, they can tell, right? Like, he's like, you're
she's
kind of
like, "I
stupid for.
know." Literally, my
And then the
favorite
doctor
part,
was
I
like,
will
literally
say.
no.
So my favorite part where it's horrible, but the doctor literally they're like, "Oh, HIPAA," and then he like goes, she's standing on the opposite side, and he's like, "There's no baby," and it's like,
No baby came out of there.
no
And
baby
he's like
came.
so serious about it.
No, which
Oh,
I like I couldn't
God.
imagine that, but
Oh,
truly
gosh,
it's
no.
very eerie. It's a very good documentary. There's some holes in there of
Hmm.
like what was going on, but at the same time, like, oh, it's mind blowing.
Yeah, it is. Ugh, yeah, it's, and it's just sad for that mom and the baby, like, and
Yeah.
that poor husband,
Oh
like,
my
ugh,
gosh, yeah. And it's like I believe Reagan had another child as well, so it's like it just keeps getting worse where you're like, oh my gosh, this one woman destroyed like multiple people's lives
An entire
because,
family.
yeah, because she just wanted to like fake being pregnant and to keep her boyfriend, which she wasn't married to. It's not like they were married for a long time. That's not even excusable, but
No, right, right. Oh gosh. Well, what a cheery note to end our day on.
I love murder. I love
Oh
talking about
god.
this. But you know what? It's also interesting to see because you hear about these ones and you're just like, okay, like always just be
Hmm.
mindful of the people you're around. And also if someone's being acting suspicious, say something to somebody and be like, hey, this is odd.
Right, like it is cheesy, but like you could literally save lives. Like
We're saving lives.
we are saving lives. Go
Hopefully our
us.
viewers and listeners think we're saving lives.
Yeah. Comment below if you think we're saving lives.
Literally,
Oh
please let
gosh.
us save your life next.
Yes, we got you.
Well, with that being said, hopefully you enjoyed hearing about this one. A little bit shorter than last week, but definitely a lot in there to unpack.
Yeah.
As usual, if you want to hear about any in particular or you have any thoughts or ones we want to dive into, leave a
Hmm.
comment on Spotify, YouTube, TikTok, wherever your little heart desires. Um, sorry, the
Wherever your heart desires.
southern accents stuck out there
Flipped
for a
out.
little bit. Woo!
uh, yes. Yeah, please let us know. I checked recently and there were no comments, but if you guys leave them, we'll talk about them.
We've been getting
Um,
some people to comment over the last couple weeks. We miss your comments.
I know. Where are you
They make
guys? Our
they make
loyal
us
fans.
they make us so happy. I hope you know. I'm
They
looking at the
do.
YouTube right now.
Yes, we please comment if you want us to talk about anyone or a documentary or anything, and we will. We have some good ones lined up, and yeah, we're excited for you guys to continue to listen to our episodes. We love
Yes,
making them for you guys.
they're our fave. So, make sure to like, subscribe, comment, all the
We can keep going.
woohoo.
uh,
But
well, thanks
on
for
that lovely
listening.
note, thanks for listening. We will see you next week and
Yes,
keep being safe out there.
save lives.
Okay. Okay. Goodbye, everyone.